Hello, welcome to He's Hot, but Something's Off. Okay, it's been a long road to get here. I'd like to say I'm more excited for today's episode, which I've hyped up on my YouTube and my Instagram. Usually I just put an episode out on Thursdays because for the 5 of you that listen, you know that it comes out on Thursdays because it's been coming out on a Thursday for, it's been nearly 3 years. I don't know how many episodes we're up into, but it's like, it's over 2 years that I've done this, I think. But this one is a little special, not just because it's coming out on a Friday. And I say that I wish I was a little more excited for this because I've been working at this for 2.5 years now. I've been working on this since before I started this podcast. And this podcast has been over 2 years. And the only reason I'm not at this very moment not feeling a little more excited is just because how tired I am. So the big announcement is today, on Friday, my new skincare brand called Makné has launched. Today is the launch day. And it's been a very long time in the making. And actually, longtime followers, if you've been listening to the podcast like for at least like a year and a half, it was about a year ago. It was almost exactly a year ago that I tried to launch the skincare brand. And what I will say is I've learned a lot of lessons, and I still continue to learn a lot of lessons in terms of just running a business. And definitely marketing is not my forte in the sense that I don't think I have a very natural neck for it. And I don't really have that skill set. Not that I'm not willing to invest in the marketing, but I'm learning a lot. However, for this launch, the proper launch, I like to call it, and that's more accurate, I do have a marketing agency that I'm working with to make sure that, we're going to launch properly this time. So it's been a long road. It's been 2.5 years. And in this episode, beyond just announcing it so that you all have access to it, I wanted to talk a little bit about, just like, why am I doing this? Because it's something that now that it's out there, it's going to be all marketed and advertised and all of that. But for those of you that listen to this podcast, you don't know me as a business owner. You very likely do not know me as a skincare expert or enthusiast in any way. I've got a lot of things that I'm into that I don't talk about on the podcast. The one time I talked about Formula One on this podcast, one of you had the nerve to come up to my comment section and complain that I was talking about Formula One. I'm just going to remind all of you, whether you've been here 100 times or this is the first time you're listening, this podcast is my personal podcast where I talk about whatever I want. And also, by the way, if you don't want to listen, you can just go listen to something else. I'm very much for, if you don't want to consume something, don't consume it. Whether that's media or food, pick your choice. But anyways, yeah, I'm so happy. I am excited. I am happy, but just right this moment, I'm recording this on Thursday night. So technically, as I'm recording this, we're a few hours, we're X hours away from the launch. And it should be that once it's launched, I should have a little bit more of excitement, but also a bit of a feeling of relief in the sense that, I've been working so hard to get the baby out the door. I don't know if that's actually a good saying. Get the baby out, not out the door. Just anyways, it's been my baby for a long time, and for it to see the light of the world, it's very exciting. But it's also I also need a breather because this shit is hard work. So let me rewind. I've told this story once or twice, but it's been a while. So for those of you that are newer listeners, I just want to rewind it back to This goes all the way back to 2022. So this goes back at least 3 years ago. And my old career was IT. I did corporate IT for tech companies, for several tech companies. And up until 2022, that's what I was doing. I was doing the 9 to 5. I was working from home here in Los Angeles, and I was working for tech companies. I was getting paid a pretty decent amount. I climbed my way up that corporate ladder, being like a junior IT tech support person early on. Over many, many years, I was director of corporate IT. That progression in and of itself is nice, but it's not surprising. A lot of people climb the corporate ladder over X number of years. And eventually I took a new job in the summer of 2022. And I kind of took that job not for the best reasons. We won't unpack all of that now. But basically, I was working with a company. It was like going pretty well, going pretty decent, a couple minor things here and there on the grand scheme of things. But there was a nicer, newer, fancier job with a fancier title with a ton more money. I mean, a lot of people tend to switch jobs because of the title and the money, right? Like you're moving up, that's what climbing the corporate ladder is, right? You're like a junior manager, then you're senior manager, then you're like a director, then you're like a VP, or, you guys kind of sort of know what it is. So I switched companies and I took this job, and I was not happy working there. And I only was there for 6 months. So I remember in December, it was a few weeks before Christmas in 2022. And I've been wanting to quit for a few months by that time. Like October, November, every day I was thinking, waking up like, when can I quit this job? When can I quit this job? So in December, I put in my notice and I quit. So I worked up until the holiday break that December. And I had never quit a job without having a different job lined up in my full-time adult career. It's never happened. The only other time where I quit a job and I didn't have a different job lined up was when I was 17 and I had a part-time job during the senior year of high school. And then eventually it was a seasonal thing for like for the holiday time because they needed extra help. It's at a bookstore. So any kind of retail, they hire seasonal staff over the holidays because, you get a holiday rush, you get more people buying stuff. And it was supposed to be temporary. The position was supposed to be seasonal until January, until right after the holidays. But then they offered to keep me on because they liked me so much or whatever. But then I quit that job because I was like, okay, I need to make sure I get into college, get into university. And I decided the best thing to do was like not have the part-time job because I didn't really need the money. But it was important for me to get into college. And I got into college, so there you go. Anyways, that was the last time I actually quit a job without having some other job lined up. Like when I was in high school. That's a long time ago. So anyways, 2022, didn't like the job, was hating it, quit it. And the thinking was, okay, let's just travel or just take some time off. I was kind of burnt out and I didn't like my job. And I was like, okay, let's just take a breather. I've been working nonstop all these years for so long. And the job market was really hot in 2022. It was really, really hot in 2021. It was red hot in 2022. I was getting job offers when I wasn't even searching for a job back in 2022. It was kind of crazy. It's very different than the market we have now. So I quit my job at the beginning of 2023. For the first few months, I didn't do anything. There were a couple cruises that I took. So I took a couple of trips, just relaxed and just enjoyed having some time off from just working. And it was April in 2023 that I thought, okay, I had a few months off. We should probably eventually just ease back into the job market. I'm not in a huge rush. I've got some money, I've got some savings, but the original plan was I was just going to take a break and just go find a different company to work for. But the main thing was that it wasn't because I didn't want to work. It was I didn't want to work at that company in that position. It just wasn't a good move. So it was like April, May, I was thinking, okay, we'll slowly do our resume up. We can afford to take a bit of our time to look for another job. But while we're doing that, we have all this like extra free time. And I was thinking, well, if I ever wanted to try out some job that I would never try because of working full time, this would be the best time for it. If there's some sort of other interest, some sort of other business interest, or some sort of other industry I was curious about, because I do have this extra time while I was looking for a full-time job. It's like, well, this would be like the perfect time to like see what's out there. And that's kind of where I got the idea of, let's look at things that I like and am passionate about. Is there something we can do with that? So that's how having my own skincare brand kind of came in. That's where idea came in. And it was like that spring that the company was formed. And you know what? For a lot of the initial work, for like the work that I had to do for the first year or so, I was like, this is kind of easy. And it doesn't seem to be that hard. A lot of it's like back office administrative stuff, which I weirdly like. So I spent about a year doing that. And I think I was able to get it off the ground because, when we hit 2023, the job market had kind of taken a dive south. So I was kind of sort of looking for a job. I mean, I was looking for a job, but I wasn't expecting the market to have cooled off as quickly as it did compared to like just, 9 months ago when it was like red hot. But at least for me anyways, in the IT world, it did cool a lot. And suffice it to say, I wasn't successful getting any sort of, getting back into IT. And, we're about to get into 2026. So I'm coming up to 3 years of not having that full-time employment. So, instead, I've decided to just do my own thing. And, one of the things was the skincare business. And yeah, basically, that's kind of how the idea of it started. Was I just had a chance when I didn't have the 9 to 5 anymore to really sit down and think about, if I could do anything in the world, if I could do anything in the world as a career, what are the things I would like to do? What are the things I would love? Like, how can I mix my passion with business? And this was one of those things. And some of you that have been listening to the podcast also know that I've started another business, which is being a travel advisor with JustJoeyTravels. And that's much more recent, but that's also where, hey, I want to blend things that I'm passionate about and make a business out of it. So these are like the two main businesses. Well, I actually have 3 businesses, honestly, because of the OnlyFans. And like, trust me, the OnlyFans is a real business. It's not gonna last forever, but it's paying the bills right now. So, these are like all the businesses that I am running. And it's so weird to think that if in 2022, you told me that, hey, Joey, in 3 years, you're gonna be running 3 separate businesses. You're gonna have a skincare company. You're gonna be a travel advisor, and you're gonna be doing porn. Actually, by that time, I was already doing OnlyFans by then, but it was really, literally just for shits and giggles on the side. Literally, back in 2022, it was very, very early on, and with like 5 followers or something, and I was just literally doing it for fun. Business has evolved a lot since. It's pulling in a lot more revenue compared to 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, you told me that, I'd be like, okay, that's crazy. But throughout my whole life, pick any point in my life, honestly, to date. And if at any point in my life, like for example, when I was 21, okay, let's say I was 21 and still in college, and if I told my 21-year-old self what my life would be like 3 years later, when I was 25, and that was when I got the job offer from Google and moved to California, I'd be like, that's no way that would happen. Because that's so crazy, right? That's such a crazy kind of like a thing to happen. I remember when I first started at Google, they like to, this is the Kool-Aid, okay? Tech companies spray a lot of Kool-Aid onto its employees. Trust and believe. They used to like saying at orientation, new employee orientation at Google, at least back then, they like to say, the odds of getting into Harvard is like 1 in whatever. And then the odds of getting into Google is like 1 in like way more than that. Like they're basically saying it's actually a lot harder to get into Google than to get into Harvard. Congratulations. I think the way they delivered that is not the way I delivered it. It didn't sound so high and mighty. I guess, yeah, at any point in my life, you could pick any point in my life, and if you literally told me, 3 years later, this was what your life would be like, or this is what you'd be doing, I would pretty much almost always tell you, I can't imagine that happening. So that's why sometimes when people say, where do you see yourself in like X years? I'm like, I have no idea. And it's absolutely useless to try. So I have no idea what's going to happen in 3 years. I really don't know. Will these businesses still be running? Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm just going to roll with the punches. But yeah, it's been a lot of work the last 2.5 years. Like I said, the first year of running the business, I was just kind of doing things at my own pace. And it was just figuring out the various parts of going into building a skincare company. Part of it's just like building a company generally. Part of it is like the skincare part. But, looking back at it now that I've talked about it a little bit, I am getting excited because, I have actual products that people can buy that I've designed. And, like every little detail you look on like the website or like the Instagram or in our marketing or in like the actual product or like the box, for example, the boxes have little sayings of them that I wrote. The design of the box, I designed that myself. Like the design of the graphics on the bottles, I designed it myself. All the colors that are like the brand colors, I did that. It was just me. It's a one-person company, which now that I think about it, sometimes I have to take a step back, when it is a lot of work to get to this point. And some days are tougher than others. Some days it's like, oh my God, it's like so much work I have to do. I have a million things to do. One of the things I've learned is the amount of self-motivation you need to have to start and run your own company, it's staggering. It's staggering. Like for 2.5 years, I've had to basically keep the faith that like this is going to work out. I mean, I still have to do that now. Just because you quote unquote have launched the company, someone can pay you money for a product or a service doesn't mean it's successful. So the launch is a big milestone, and I'm excited for it. But yeah, I've learned so much just even up to this point, and I'm sure I'm going to learn so much more. But I am excited. Part of it is you have to keep telling yourself certain things to cheer yourself up. I want to get a dog. This sounds like it's neither here nor there, but like if over the last 2.5 years I had a dog, I think that would have really helped my morale just on a day-to-day basis. I really have this upbringing where my parents just taught me like whatever is the most reliable way to get a paycheck, you do that and you never shake or rock that boat. It's a very traditional Chinese upbringing with my parents. And I have 2 siblings, my brother and my sister, they're both older. They are definitely doing that. And I was for a long time too. For many, many years, I was like, oh, okay, go into an office, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Mondays to Fridays, get a paycheck. And that's exactly what my parents wanted. My parents don't want any of my kids to like, oh, go invest a ton of your money into a brand new business. My dad was an entrepreneur, but I think my dad would, because, you know, the Chinese parents thing to say is like, just find a big reliable company, just get a job and just have a decent paycheck and just ride it out for the rest of your life. Because the stability is really the key thing. The Chinese parents don't care if you made a lot of money as long as you made like enough. You know, being rich is not the point. The point is just to like survive. You know, and the best way to survive is not taking risks, just a reliable paycheck for as long as possible. And a big company is usually more reliable than a small company or running your own company, right? And, you know, sometimes it's risky to go for like the big payout. So like some sort of like entry level, not like entry level, but like very like, you know, run of the mill type of a job. You know, there's no aspirations to shake or rock the boat to like climb up the ladder and make more money. It's just like, as long as like, you know, you're sustaining yourself, just do that. So the upbringing was very much that type of attitude. But I'm definitely like the black sheep of the family. I don't know if that's the most appropriate thing to say, but you know, I'm the only one that like moved to a different country. My family's in Canada. I'm the one that had to like move to the U.S. out of college. Besides, I got a job, and you know, I'm the only one in the family to get, you know, to work for like a big fancy company like Google, and I feel it's so weird. My family doesn't listen to this. It's so weird because at one point I was pretty sure I was making maybe more than my brother and my sister combined. But you know, the other thing I want to say about that is it's great to have. I do wish I had more income, cash flow. But you know, when you're starting a business, especially something like a skincare business, that's like a little bit capital intensive. You know, you need to pay to like develop the formulas. You need to pay for that to be produced in a lab. You need to pay for all of that inventory. You need to pay for all the logistics and the storage and, you know, all of that stuff upfront before you turn even a penny of revenue. So you got to basically manufacture all that stuff, and that costs a lot of money. So, you know, because of that, I think I am privileged that I was in a situation where I had enough capital to be able to do that and still just pay for the bills just out of my assets. You know, over the years, while I was making decent money, one of the best moves I've ever made was putting money away and investing it. So I have investments, I have a portfolio. So I feel like I was in a fortunate enough situation to be able to like take a chunk of money out of it to start up a business that's kind of capital intensive, at the same time still be able to just like pay my mortgage and put food on the table and do that. You know, I did cut back on a lot of like non-essential things, like Amazon Prime. Okay, that's like what, $100 a year. That had to go. I was never like a dining out person really, but it was like extra not dining out. I stopped buying organic foods. So it's not that I'm broke. You know, there's money in the portfolio, there's money in the bank, there's money in various investments, but it was very much like, okay, the cash flow is negative. Okay, OnlyFans does bring in money, but doesn't bring in that much money. I'm not that much of a porn star, okay? And all the while, I'm spending money on the skincare business because you have to invest in the business to get it started. So it's a long road to get here in many different ways. Financially is one of them. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to taking a break next week. I'm really looking forward to taking a little bit of a breather next week. And next week's Thanksgiving, and I feel like I have a lot to be thankful for. And sometimes, you know, you're driving down the road of life and you never stop to smell the flowers or appreciate what you have, because we're always so busy, just like go in today's world. So next week, I think I have the chance to step back a little bit from work, because literally every day it's like there are no weekends and there's no like it's just crazy the amount I've been working on. I've never worked this hard. I've never worked this hard at any of my jobs. Those 95 jobs, honestly, relatively, they're all pretty cushy. Some days I can't remember why I quit those cushy jobs with the big paychecks. But anyways, yeah, next week I'm going to take a little bit of a breather after the launch, and I get to do the Thanksgiving thing where, you know what, I'm just going to take a moment and just pause a little bit and just think about all the things that are good in my life and all the things that I'm thankful for. Definitely one of the things I'm thankful for is the launch of the skincare company. All right. So please, I've already put it onto the side of my screen here. I've got some QR codes. It's also going to be linked down in the description below. I'm going to put up a YouTube video, like a proper YouTube video, sometime this weekend, where I just want to talk a little bit about the skincare company itself, not so much like the backstory like I'm doing with you now. And also, I had been meaning to also just do like a little bit of a YouTube intro video for JustJoeyTravels, me being a travel advisor as well. So I'm going to be doing a proper YouTube video where I just talk a little bit about the two businesses. So look for that coming up this weekend. But yeah, if you want to go check out Makné, it's my skincare brand, and our tagline is, serving fun and effective skincare for everyone. I really wanted to lean into the fact that, skincare should not be for him or for her, should be for everyone. And that's one of the core values of the brand, is that, there are a lot of skincare companies, especially like the more established ones, that market more towards traditionally feminine women. There are also men's skincare lines that obviously just cater to mainly from their marketing cisgendered men. But I really wanted my skincare company to kind of break down those boundaries a little bit, and instead of being gender blind, like I like to call some companies, they don't reference people in their marketing or in their corporate image at all. And they don't even mention anything about gender, which is like anything that a company does in the marketing is very intentional. And I've decided with my skincare company that I wanted us to be gender positive. I wanted us to support the fact that, there are people on the full gender spectrum. And I don't think that the beauty industry should just be so biased towards those traditional gender roles. Yeah, so that's Makné. I hope you check it out. Everything is linked down below or in the QR codes. I never remember which side of the video podcast. It's this side. This side is where I have the QR codes. Yeah, go check it out. And we have an Instagram. Of course, it's Hello Makné is the Instagram. It's going to be linked down below. At hellomakné.com, it's also the website. So yeah, it's very interesting. The work has not finished. The launch is a milestone, but it's just in some ways I can't believe that I've gotten to this point. That's what I wanted to talk about today. And that's the big announcement. It may not seem like such a big thing to you, but like on this side of the table, because I've been working it for 2.5 years, to get it to like this very critical big milestone for me is effing giant. Okay, but yeah, I hope you check it out. And yeah, I think for those who are interested in my Patreon, by the way, I did mention an episode or two ago that if you would like a free trial to my Patreon, you just have to DM me. And a few people took me up on that offer, and I appreciate that some of you are listening. So I'm still gonna do that. If you want to DM my Instagram, the JustJoeyT, my personal Instagram, just DM me, say, hey, I would like a free trial to your Patreon. And I will do that because I do post a lot of good stuff in there. But one thing that I am doing on my Patreon, every month on my Patreon for my top tier OPA subscribers, I will do a monthly live stream with them. I'll be doing it for every single month. And it's this Sunday. That is the November live stream for those top tier OPA subscribers. And those are the ones that I love interacting with because they always like comment on my posts and like they ask me questions. We have like a little group chat as well. So I really, really love interacting with my OPAs. And we're actually going to have our monthly live stream this Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific. So the free trial, you're not going to get the top tier with that. You don't get the live stream for free. But just in case some of you are interested in my top tier Patreon subscription, now would be a great time because this Sunday we're having that live stream, and that's one of the main perks of being a top tier OPA subscribers. So okay, there you go. That's my big announcement. I think because as I'm recording this, it's Thursday, and technically the launch is Friday when this goes up. I'm still putting some finishing touches on a few things for the launch, even tonight. And honestly, that's how hard I needed to work. It's wake up, brush my teeth, wash my face, eat breakfast, work, lunch, work, dinner, work, sleep. So it's been like that basically 7 days a week for several months now. So I'm really glad that next week, I told my marketing agency people like, okay, do you guys need anything from me for the rest of this month? Because I'm going to be stepping away from my work computer until after the Thanksgiving long weekend. So that's like December, basically. It's the Monday. And they said, no, we just have a few things finished up. And then they're just going to like kind of take care of running some of the advertising and some of the social media that we've already all reviewed for like the next couple of weeks. So I get to just sit back a little bit, hang out with some friends, hit the gym. I'm still hitting the gym. I'm still making time for that. And yeah, I hope you all will support me in my business endeavors. Until next time, bye y'all.